Cunt. Hello and welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey chapter
450.
It is the second day of the week, aka the special beam cannon workout. I'm feeling very good right now, very excited for this workout. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. The Human Captcha. So the main reason why I wanted to discuss this is because I want to figure out what the fuck the Human Captcha is going to be. As we have seen, the rise of AI has been very vast and very quick, and it's going to only keep getting better and better. So thus, I have thought about this and have wondered, what is going to be the Human Captcha? What are we going to do in order to show that the video is an actual human? But like, it has to be something more than just an obvious thing, because right now the voice, you can kind of hear it and you can see it. Obviously, there's certain things that are uncanny valley, but it's slowly getting there. Give it another year and they'll probably figure out those two things now. So then thus I'm going to also be like, with it as well. Not turning Japanese, but the other thing about it is, though, it's funny because I'm gonna that's part of what I think is going to be it, but we'll get into that in the voiceover. But I have feelings of what it will probably end up being, specifically because there are certain key things that you're not allowed to do in AI quite yet, or you will have to go to like some off-brand AI that could probably do it, but maybe not because of moderation settings. And unfortunately, it's fortunately, because of certain taboos in the world, which will now have to be turned upside down, are going to end up becoming the Human Captcha. So with that being said, I will see you at Mother Base.
I don't like Israel. Anyways, back to the... So started this day off with squats, which are pretty good. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. The Human Captcha. So the main reason why I want to discuss this is because I was thinking about this for quite some time, because at a certain point there will be the question of what are we going to do in order to prove that you are human, that we're going to have those verification checks that we always have in writing shit out when you click things a little too fast and it says, are you human? Even though technically those are to train AI things, but that's a whole other discussion for a whole other day. I wanted to think about it in the logistical sense of what would we do in our world when we have to prove that we are who we say we are, whether it be human or not human. And I think that that's a crazy monumental task in a certain sense, because at a certain point we are going to have to end up doing it. Something is going to happen where we have to be able to prove that this was human, it was made by man. And it's kind of weird because I think a lot of people will not want to try to figure this out before it's too late, and then the robots will figure it out before we even have a chance to. So it is a pretty interesting situation that we've been left with. What I personally think is going to happen is, realistically, social taboos will end up becoming the Human Captcha. I think that that's what's going to happen, most likely, more likely than not. Things that we know are banned and or not allowed by the big AI companies unless we have our own, but that's going to be a whole other discussion for a whole other day, because LLMs that are privately owned will probably see the rise of this type of phenomena, but that's kind of a different story. I kind of want to just discuss the idea that these human verification checks that are probably going to happen are going to be things like me saying the word cunt and a few other words that are very spicy that I would probably get away with doing if I didn't have a job, but I care about that job, so I'm not going to say that here. But there are definitely a few other ones that you could imagine that end in an ER that you could already hear in your head that would probably be part of the verification, because you know that places like ChatGPT and of the sort wouldn't allow you to say that, or to criticize a place like Israel or something like that, or say that the genocide in Gaza is happening, things like that. You're not allowed to say those things via those types of AI generative places. So because of those things, or in the Chinese sense, you can say something like Xi Jinping looks like Winnie the Pooh or whatever his name is, that it won't be allowed. And then you can be able to verify that you're a person, and also that your social credit is going through the tanker. But at the end, it's going to be interesting to see when people realize that this is probably going to have to be the way that it is, especially when AI gets too good to the point where people aren't going to be able to distinguish it, whether or not it's AI or not. And I think that that's going to happen way sooner than we would like to admit. So these social taboos that people will say, oh, I don't want to say this thing. Oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, I want to do that, are going to be forced to do it, because then they're going to have to prove that they're not AI. They're going to go with the most basic of bitch of things, because of course they are very much against going against the grain, of course, but it's a whole other discussion for a whole other day. I'm willing to do it, but at the same time, I do have a job and I would like to keep it. But the simple fact is that there are a lot of people that are going to be very hesitant to be against the grain, only to falter to the idea that maybe AI will win this battle just because they don't want to be socially seen as socially ostracize themselves by saying something as innocuous as "I hate Israel," because then all of a sudden they are ending up not necessarily in a good place, or whatever the fuck they want to believe in, that their social good or their social good causes or whatever else idiotic that they might be thinking about when it comes to those certain aspects of society, or just saying a pretty little word like cunt, because apparently that word is the same as the N word, of course, because of course that makes total sense. That's a YouTube issue in and of its own. But I think that this is going to have to happen. The way extreme sides of just cultures are going to be the way that we are going to be able to determine whether a person is AI or not in the future. And I hope people are ready and prepared for that, because I have a feeling that it's going to destroy certain people, because they are going to be basically bullied into a non-existence on the internet or made AI. And also, if you have a private LLM just made into an AI that will be doing those things anyway, it's just a very interesting dynamic. I really do wonder. I have no idea what else they could possibly do, because of the fact that these big LLMs that people use in order to get these videos are pretty regulated. I have a feeling that the only way to get out of the regulation will be to be on the fringes of society, and a lot of people aren't going to want to do that. And too bad for those people, really. You're just going to be blamed to be AI the whole time. And what else are you going to do? You're just going to have to sit there and look at the camera and then say the N-word in its entirety. And then boom, you have no job. But hey, look at that. You're a human. Isn't that funny how that ends up working out? Something that would probably be innocuous if it didn't have so much attention to it is now become the key to prove you aren't a goddamn robot. Isn't that crazy that the world that we are going to probably live in is probably one of those worlds where all of a sudden the thing that you want to stray away from, the thing that you believe is all evil and all encompassing bad, is now the key to make sure that you are not the new evil that is the computer. But then again, in your eyes, that's the new evil. In reality, it's not necessarily the new evil, but everything that is against you is evil, because you're only good if you are that type of person, right?
Taiwan is a country. Palestine. And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercises not filmed, none. Exercises skipped, also none. Got everything in, thankfully. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. The Human Captcha. The main reason why I want to discuss this is because this seems as though this is going to happen. I don't know where it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. They're going to have to figure out some type of system in order to make it so that the people can understand that, yes, this is a human. And I have a feeling that controversial things, such as the word cunt and a few others that I'm not going to say because I'd rather not commit that to memory right now, but eventually maybe. But the entire point is that there are going to be things like that are ultra controversial that we know that AI won't be able to do for reasons that it won't allow it to do it, because we know it's governed by certain entities that won't allow these things, that will probably end up being repurposed as ways to show that it's not AI, which is a very weird thing. Obviously, people are going to be hesitant and skeptical about it, of course, and of course, there are going to be people who abuse it. But at a certain point, I have a feeling that people are going to have to come up with something that they can't do. If I had just make mine Taiwan as a country, that's all of a sudden all the Chinese AI out of the picture. You know what I mean? So it all just depends. But I really do think that they're going to find some type of scapegoat or some type of thing that is controversial and not allowed to talk about on the internet, but yet is going to have to be allowed in order to prevent some weird AI takeover of knowing or not knowing and getting into the uncanny valley when it comes to it. The human captcha, if you will. And that will probably be the most interesting part of it, really, that I think will happen. We are going to figure out something. I don't know what it is. Maybe it is just leaving edits and certain breathing things or just some things like that. People are going to start doing things like that, leaving specific errors in certain things. But I have a feeling it has to be something more extreme, because I feel like if it's not extreme, then people are going to still keep calling it AI or fake or whatever. So I have a feeling that it's going to be, well, something like cunt. But anyways, with that being said, tell me what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about this one. Kind of random, but still something that I talk about on this channel. But also, I would love to know your thoughts. What you would think would be the new captcha for people in order to show that, hey, I'm human, and something that the robots would not be able to replicate. But I would love to know your thoughts and opinions about that. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with anybody who may or may not like it. I will be back on tomorrow with a new video. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. Keep it heavy, stay safe out there, and stay warm, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.